Lovely to see all your friendly faces, especially during a lockdown. So I hope you're all keeping well. So thanks so much for inviting me to do this cook along. I may have met some of you before at other CBL events, which were really enjoyable in the past actually that we did. So for today's cook along, really it's about just trying something together, and there's many different ways you can do it, but just for the sake of the group and the different protein options we have, I'm just going to do it a certain way, and then at the end I can talk you through, you know, the different ways you can do it if you're just cooking with chicken, for example. But because we have a mix of people doing salmon, chicken, tofu, we're going to cook the stir fry and the protein options separately, okay? But you could actually throw them all in the pan together if you wish. Today as well, we also have these ramen noodles. I just picked these as well because we use them a lot at home. They're very easy. You take them out of the packet and you just rinse them in boiling water. They are really pre-cooked. I just rinse them to detangle them. So it might be handy at this point if you just want to step away and maybe boil your kettle and just have your kettle then with hot water in it on standby. So that's just for the noodles. So I'm just going to give you a minute to boil your kettle and just have that water then sitting in your kettle. Okay, I'm just going to press the button on mine as well. So we'll be adding the noodles later, but that's just something to get us ready for that. So we're going to start off, so we're using noodles today instead of rice. But if anybody wants me to talk through how to make Japanese rice at the end, I can absolutely do that. The reason I use noodles rather than the rice was I just thought some people find the rice quite tedious and sometimes it's hard to get it, whereas you can get noodles in most supermarkets. So for the stir fry, you either have a kind of wok or a pan, either will work. So whatever you have in your kitchen, you're going to need that for your vegetables. If you have a second pan, put that beside. So if you have two pans, if you don't have two pans, don't worry, we can work with one pan. We'll just put the first dish into a bowl. If you have two pans, you can just put them here. If you only have one, don't panic, okay? So I have my two pans ready here. I'm using a kind of wok for my stir fry, and I'm using a pan for my salmon or chicken, okay? So for the stir fry, to start off, we're going to be adding the three key ingredients. So they're the chopped range, and you would have got them in your box. So there's a ginger, a chili, and a garlic. So I would recommend about a teaspoon of each. Now it really depends on what you like. Some people won't like chili, so leave it out or add a little bit. Some people will love ginger, so you know you can add a teaspoon, a tablespoon. So really go with your own flavor. So first I'm going to heat my pan. So I'm turning my heat on. I'm turning it on to a medium high heat, okay? Okay, so I have it there on a medium to high heat, and then I have my oil, okay? So I'm using a vegetable oil. You can use a rapeseed oil. You can use olive oil. The reason I'm using vegetable or rapeseed is it can come up to a higher point. But if you only have olive oil, it's okay. You can use that as well. So I'm adding the oil to my pan, okay? And just to check your pan, you can put your hand over the pan just to check if it's hot. I always like to add the food when the pan is hot. So I have my pan on a high heat, and now I'm going to add a teaspoon of the chopped ginger, okay? And I love the ginger, so I've added the garlic, sorry, a teaspoon of garlic, and now I'm going to add the ginger. So I'm adding about 2 teaspoons of ginger. And you're going to feel the flavors coming up from this. It really catches your breath. So then I'm adding the chili. Now, I like spicy food, so I'm going to add just less than a teaspoon. But if you don't like chili, just add a quarter of a teaspoon or just leave it out, okay?
Sorry, Fiona, I have a question. If you've already chopped chili, right? Do you add both or?
So have you chopped chili?
Yeah, I chopped up a chili already.
Yeah, so you obviously, you know, will like spicy food. So add the chili at this point.
Okay.
Okay. So once you've added your chili, garlic, and ginger, you can either use the fused chop range or like Sa is using the fresh chili. You can add them. So now they on my pan, they've all come together very nicely.
Fiona,
The oil is infused.
Fiona,
Yes.
I'm very sorry. I had terrible trouble here getting in. My equipment problem.
You're okay.
You've just started with some oil in the pan.
That's right. So heat your pan. Yeah.
And the jars of chili, ginger, and garlic.
That's right. So about a teaspoon of each.
Of each. Okay.
But just be careful with the chili. If you like spicy food, a teaspoon. If you don't like spicy food, just maybe add a little less.
Okay.
Okay.
And is there an amount of oil? I'm so sorry. I don't mean to hold up everybody.
No, you're okay. I would generally add, you know, about a tablespoon or less. About a tablespoon of oil, or a little less than that. You just don't want to have a very dry stir fry either. So I have now fried that off for a few minutes. So you can go ahead and fry that off.
Okay. Thank you. I'm very sorry. My kitchen is split, so I have to go around the other bit.
You're okay. Sure. Don't worry. Take your time. We're in no rush. So for everyone else that has their chopped ingredients frying on the pan, you can just take that off the heat now, and it's just going to infuse beautifully into the oil. And we're going to go over now and start chopping our vegetables. Okay, so I'm just going over to my chopping board. And has everybody got their vegetables, what they're going to put in the stir fry? What vegetables did you pick for your stir fry?
Well, chili, spinach, carrots.
Well, that sounds very nice.
What did we pick? Or pepper, rather, a chili pepper, I should say, the mild one, not another hot chili in with it.
It'll be very spicy in that case.
Yes. Mushrooms, bean sprouts,
onions.
Oh, lovely, Sheila. That sounds gorgeous. The mushrooms and the bean sprouts really absorb all the flavors.
Good.
Yes.
So I have them in now.
Sorry?
Do we throw those in now?
So are your vegetables all prepared?
No, not just yet.
Okay, so we're all just chopping our vegetables now. So we're just going to spend a few minutes doing that. So just take your pan off the heat, turn the heat off just for a few minutes. And we're just going to chop our vegetables. I've got some onion. I've got some yellow and red pepper. I have some broccoli, carrots. I was just picking what was in the fridge left over. And I have some different colored peppers. So this is the great thing about a stir fry. You can really pick what's in the bottom of the fridge that, you know, you want to avoid throwing out. So if you just chop all your vegetables up like you would for a stir fry, I'm just chopping mine into strips. So just like that, into strips. Okay.
Sorry, Fiona.
Yeah.
Does the broccoli need to be blanched ahead?
No.
No.
Okay.
So I think if everyone could just get a glass or a cup of water and have it ready, we're going to add a little bit of water when we're cooking the stir fry, and that will help the broccoli cook.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Okay, so if you just have a little bit of water to hand, cold water is fine, hot water, it doesn't matter. Pak choy actually works really well in this, and spinach works really well in stir fries. Really what I try to do when I'm making stir fries is get, you know, the colors of the rainbow, or just pick all different colored vegetables if I can, because they'll all provide different nutrients and health benefits. So from your dark green veg, you know, you're going to get calcium and that. So I try to get the dark green veg in somewhere. And, you know, that was actually what I found really phenomenal when I lived in Japan. They have very little dairy in their diet. So they get all their calcium, you know, from seaweed and spinach. So all their calcium comes from dark green vegetables.
Fiona, is there any vegetable you would recommend not putting in a stir fry?
I actually can't really think of one, to be honest. Like, everything goes really, if you like the vegetable. What do you have?
I have broccoli, pak choy. I have that tender stem broccoli as well, which I quite like.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yes.
What else we got? Spring onions, bean sprouts, and peppers.
Oh, that
Peppers.
sounds nice.
Yeah, lots of colors.
I actually got this Chinese leaf cabbage in John's. I just noticed I have some left in the fridge, so I'm just going to chop a bit of that as well. But you know, we have a John Stores in Naas, and they have a lovely range of Asian leaves, and every week they'll be different what's in season or what's grown in Ireland. But they do a lovely, you know, pak choy. It's grown in Dublin. But also the Chinese cabbage is lovely for stir fries too. So I'm just going to chop a bit of that. Okay, so now we are going to go back to the Walker frying pan and turn it back onto a medium to high heat. Just have a cup of water, a glass of water to hand, because we're going to add a little bit of water at one point. So then the way you add your vegetables is really based on how long they take to cook. So in my case, I'm going to add the onions first. So like, you know, carrots will take a bit longer. Bean sprouts and mushrooms don't take a long time. So if you had more crunchy vegetables, you might add them later. I would always add the leaves like spinach at the end, because they, again, don't take a long time to cook. So I've added my onion, and now I'm going to add my carrot.
So, sorry, Fiona, did you say keep it on a very high heat?
Medium to high, a heat that you can control. It really depends on your own cooker. You want it high enough that you can hear it sizzling, you know, that it is actually cooking the vegetable fast. If the pan starts to go a bit black, you know it's too high, or we start seeing a bit of smoke. So my induction hob goes to about 20 and I'm on 15, just to give you an idea. So I've now added my carrot and onion. I'm going to add in my broccoli because that takes a bit of time to cook as well. And at this point, I'm going to add a splash of water because that's going to help cook the crunchy vegetables, okay?
Sorry, Fiona, did you say to put the broccoli in now?
Yes, put in the broccoli. And are you using carrots?
No, no.
Okay, any of your crunchy vegetables like broccoli that take a bit longer to cook, you can add.
Yeah.
So I've added in the broccoli and I've added in a splash of water to kind of help it steam off, okay?
Yeah.
Because if you don't add the splash of water, the stir fry just becomes really dry and you need to add more oil. So it's just healthier to add the water. and it really helps to cook the vegetables and just bring all the flavors together. So you can leave that cooking for a few minutes. Okay, you'll get a feel yourself for when, like I like my vegetables crunchy. So I'm not going to overcook them or have them well cooked. So really it's up to you. So I'm going to add in my cabbage now. And my peppers.
So Fiona, when would you add mushrooms?
Yes, I'd add mushrooms. So what are you cooking, Mary? What vegetables have you added already?
We have onion and carrots, and we were going to put spinach.
So if you have them on the pan for a minute or so, then I would add the mushrooms in. And
Okay.
add bean sprouts then about a minute or so after that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so mine is coming together lovely and beautiful colors there. I'll just put my pan up to the camera. So you can just see, you know, it's lovely. We can get all the colors in there. Now, sesame oil is actually lovely in a stir fry. If you have sesame oil at home, you can add a drizzle of sesame oil. If you don't have it, that's fine. You can also add, you know, some sesame seeds. Again, these are just extras. So when you think that your vegetables are okay, they're, you know, a little bit cooked through, nice and crunchy still. So at the end of the stir fry, we're going to add our soy sauce. So you've 3 soy sauce. You've got your plain one, which is blue, the ginger and the chili. So the ginger is very popular amongst ladies, actually. I know there is some men on this call, but it seems to be just refreshing and a subtle flavor. And then the chili is really for people that like that kick of spice. The classic then is for people who would just like a plain version. It's a very delicate flavored soy. They all have that delicate flavor, but my favorite is the ginger. So I'm going to use the ginger, and it has a drizzle top. So if you look at me, I'm just drizzling it there for about 5 or 10 seconds, and then I'll stir it around and go one more time, okay? You can always add more at the dinner table. It's better to add less than more, because if you add too much, you can't go back. Whereas you can always add more at the dinner table and put this on the table.
Have you at that stage all your ingredients in the pan now?
That's correct. This is the end of the stir fry, so my vegetables are cooked.
Okay, so I'll add my mushrooms and my spinach now.
Yeah,
And
so
then
take your
wait
time.
a minute.
You wait
Yeah.
a minute, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, great.
So
Thank
you work away with that. And so for everyone else, just add your soy sauce at the end. Because of the flavor of soy sauce, it only works well for a minute or so on the wok. It doesn't like a high heat for a long period of time. It changes the flavor and affects the health benefit. So only add the soy at the end of your stir fry, okay? If you add
Can
it
I ask
before
a
that-
question?
Yeah.
How much did you use of the other sauces, the ginger and the chili? I missed that.
That's okay. Are you talking about the flavored soy sauces?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I drizzled it over the pan twice for about
Okay.
5 seconds. So
Okay.
roughly about a tablespoon.
Right. Perfect. Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you.
So just for everyone else, you'll know again by looking at the stir fry, you want to have a slight color of soy sauce, but not too dark. And again, if when you sit down for dinner, you want to add more, everyone will be different. You can have that sitting on the table like salt and pepper and just add a little more depending. Okay. some people like a lot of soy sauce, other people don't. So it's really a personal preference. But so that's why I always try to pull back a little bit, not add too much. So I'm just going to pause there with the cooking for a minute because I'm aware that some people are still going through their stir fry. So once we have the stir fry complete, we're going to turn the heat off because we're going to reheat that at the end of the cook along. We're just going to put that aside now and it's going to be ready to go. And we're going to just blast it on the heat at the end of the cook along, okay? So if you've completed your stir fry, you can turn the heat off and we're now going to move on to making the protein option, okay? So I'm just going to wait to see has everyone completed. I don't want to be moving on to the next step and leaving anyone behind. So we might just get feedback from everyone. If you want another minute or so, the rest of us can be cleaning our workstations, just let me know.
Yes, one more minute, please.
Yeah, no problem.
Just
Okay.
one question now. I've got it to that stage. So do I take it off the heat now?
No, leave it on the heat. Have you added the soy sauce?
Yes.
Oh, you have? Okay. So do you feel like everything is cooked kind of
Well, it
okay?
looks good. Yeah, I don't like them overcooked anyway.
Yeah, well, that sounds perfect. So now you can take it off the heat then, okay?
Fiona, I have a question. My flatmate that I live with is wheat intolerant. She can't have noodles with egg. She's also egg intolerant. So we're cooking rice noodles today. Like,
lovely.
What is the best way to cook them? Because whenever I cook them, they stick together. I think they're kind of like stodgy. I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing with noodles is, well, first just read the package instructions because depending are the noodles hard or pre-cooked, the cooking instructions will be different for every brand of noodles. But the one thing I would say is they take very little time to cook. So what might be happening there is you're just cooking them for too long. So for example, with these noodles that we have in the meal kit, they're pre-cooked. So I'm just immersing them in boiling water to detangle them. And then I would take them out immediately. If I was to boil these, they would be as you described, the rice noodles. So that might be the problem.
Okay.
Okay, maybe check the back of the instructions and see how, if they ask you to cook them at all, because some of them are wok ready.
Yeah, these are hard, like.
Oh.
Yeah.
You know, it might be worthwhile when you're boiling them, just adding a little bit of oil. Okay, it might be worthwhile just adding a little bit of oil to the water when you're boiling them, and that might prevent them from sticking together.
Fiona, the salmon has skin on it. Do I need to take that off? There's salmon darns.
Yeah, that's a good question, Mary. I leave the skin on, and the reason I do that is A, it has excellent health benefits. It will soak into the fish fillet while you're cooking it. The best part of the fish is the closest part to the skin.
Yes.
And the second reason is it actually just keeps the structure of the fish when you're cooking it. If the skin is off, it falls apart. So you can remove the skin at the end if you don't like it.
Okay, so if you don't want to eat it, you take it off just before you serve it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
That's
great.
great.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, so I have 2 salmon fillets here, the same as Mary. And again, when you're buying your salmon, you know, I love the fishmonger in Naas. He's great. You can taste the difference in his salmon compared to pre-packed salmon. It's just so fresh. But again, I love having the skin on the fish because it keeps the fish fresh. It's got the healthiest part. If you scrape off the fish nearest to the skin, that's the healthiest part. It's like an avocado. The healthiest part is near the skin. So it's good to know. So has everybody got their protein option and their frying pan?
So, Fiona, one last question on the vegetables. Do we stir fry the soy sauce now or at the end?
So when your vegetables are cooked on the pan, just add the soy sauce at the end and give it a stir.
Okay. So we
Okay?
can put it in now.
Yeah,
Not
you
just
can add the soy sauce at the end of the stir fry when you're satisfied the vegetables are, you know, just a little bit cooked through, nice and crunchy, and then leave it on the heat for about a minute or less. Okay?
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you.
And then once you're finished with your stir fry, you can take the heat off and just set it aside. We're going to be coming back to that, okay? So-
May I ask, please?
Yeah.
Sorry, I have steak, being a carnivore. This is what I have. So I'm just cutting it up in strips. Is that right? Or is that
Oh,
okay?
My favorite way to do this is with steak as well. It's absolutely delicious. So that's perfect, actually. I shred the steak as well. So yeah, cut it up into slices or whatever way you like to eat it. So you're going to be working the same as us with the chicken and the salmon, okay?
Thank you.
I think we have a steak teriyaki or a salmon teriyaki at least once a week in this house. It's actually beautiful with ribeye steak.
Is it suitable, Fiona, for round steak?
Yes, it will work for any steak, to be honest. Now, if you're doing it on the pan or if you're doing it in the oven, there'll be different ways of, like, for example, if I was to put this salmon on an oven tray or chicken or any meat, I would put the teriyaki over it and add some water, maybe a few tablespoons, and then I would cover it in tin foil.
Okay.
And that's to stop it drying out.
Nice.
And the bit of water you add will act like a steamer and it'll make it beautiful and moist.
Moist, yes.
But any steak will really work. Just make sure you have it nice thin strips of it. Okay?
Thank you.
So I have my pan on a medium to high heat. You know, you want to hear it sizzle when you add your protein. So we're either going to have shredded steak, salmon fillets, or shredded chicken. You can cut the chicken whatever way you prefer, you know, into kind of thick slices if you wish. So I'm just adding salmon here.
Oh, sorry, Fiona. Would
Go
you still
ahead.
have the tofu on a medium to high heat?
Yeah, so I was actually going to just mention that about the tofu. Have you drained the tofu and cut it into a block or into little cubes? Or what way have you prepared it?
Yeah, I drained it and cut it into cubes.
Okay, yeah, so you can do the same. Just imagine it's like chicken strips. So you're putting a bit of oil on your pan, put in your tofu. Now, unlike the salmon, chicken and steak, you're really just trying to heat the tofu because it doesn't need to be cooked. So yours won't take as long, okay? You might just give it a nice crispy brownie. That'd be lovely to give it a bit of texture.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
So I have my salmon cooking away there. I put the skin side down, and that's to protect the fish and keep the fish together, okay? If it's the chicken, you can just put the chicken in, or if it's the steak, you put the steak in. And really for the chicken and steak and salmon, we're sealing both sides, okay? So try to avoid touching, you know, the chicken, steak or salmon. Just leave it there cooking away for a few minutes, and you'll see it when you look at it. It's starting to, you know, form a nice crust on one side. You're sealing it. So when it's at that, then we'll turn it. But don't be messing around with it before that. You just want to seal it to hold in all them beautiful flavors. So this is the sauce that we're adding to our protein option. It's the teriyaki sauce. It's a 100-gram pouch. So for 2 people, I'm adding 1 of these. Okay. So I generally add 1 of these to 2 salmon fillets or 2 chicken fillets or 2 steak fillets. So we're not going to be adding that yet. We're adding that at the end. So while we're waiting for our protein option to cook, can you put the boiling water or the just boiled water? It doesn't have to be boiling. So the water from your kettle, put it into your noodles in a bowl. Okay, we're just going to be doing that while the protein is cooking. All right. Okay. Right. So I've just added the just boiled water. It was sitting there for a few minutes, and I have a bowl here, and I'm just using a fork or a tongs to just detangle it. I'm just trying to gently break it apart. Okay. As I said, these are pre-cooked, so they just take a minute to do this. And then if you have a colander, you're just going to strain them. So I'm just going to go and get a colander. So I'm just going to strain the water out of the noodles. How are we all getting on? Is everyone okay?
Very good, really enjoying it.
Oh, that's good to hear. So everyone now should have their noodles just rinsed in boiling water and drained and ready to go on the side. You have your stir fry cooked, ready to go, set aside. And my protein option now is sealed on one side, so I'm going to turn it, okay? So I'm going to turn my salmon. Okay, so I'm going to hold that up to the camera. So my salmon is sealed on one side, okay? It's just if you leave the salmon or the steak there and don't start messing around with it, it just forms a lovely crust on top and just really allows all the flavors to seal in. So now I'm cooking the other side of my salmon, and anyone that has steak or chicken, they can do that. So I'm going to leave that for about a minute, and then I'm going to add my teriyaki. So I'm opening the teriyaki pouch now. Okay, just mind yourself when you're opening it. And if I ever don't use all of these at home, I just put a little clip on the top and use it for another dinner. So sometimes I wouldn't even use all of this. I put a little clip on it. They actually last quite a long time. So my salmon is looking good. Okay, I can see it's nearly cooked through. So I'm going to add the teriyaki. So you can look at the camera. I'm adding the teriyaki to my salmon. Okay. So at this point, you can reduce the heat to a medium because we don't want to burn the teriyaki. So it has soy sauce in the teriyaki, so it doesn't do well with high heat. You want it on a kind of a medium heat, okay? And what you should see is little bubbles forming. And that means that the teriyaki is starting to thicken and all that sweetness is coming out in it. But if you see a lot of bubbles, it probably means it's either nearly ready to take off the heat or the heat is too high, okay? So I'm getting hungry now that I can get the smells here. So while your teriyaki is simmering away there on a medium heat, I'm just going to quickly talk about miso soup. I know that you didn't receive miso soup in your meal kit. We actually just launched this product in the last week or so. It's our own miso paste. It's a white miso paste with a very delicate flavor. And I just want to tell you how I make miso soup at home. It's particularly good for women, actually, for their diet, for hormone regulation. It's full of anti-cancerous properties. Japanese people have it with breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I have it most days. But generally what I do is I get a liter of water and I bring it to the boil and I add about 2 tablespoons of this and whisk it in and reduce the heat. So I never boil after the miso paste is in there. But it's just, I wanted to talk you through how to make a very basic miso paste. I have a litre of water in here, and I will add it to that. But before I do that, I just whisk out the miso paste in a little bit of water, just to get rid of any lumps here. But then really after that, I add whatever I like: spring onion, tofu, chopped carrot, onion. You can add anything you want really. And sorry, just to come back now, my teriyaki is bubbling nicely. Okay, so I think mine is ready. So everyone keep an eye on theirs. So I suppose at this point, you decide how you want to serve up your dinner. So there's a few different options. So you can serve your stir fry with the noodles in it, and on a separate plate, you can serve your chicken teriyaki, your salmon teriyaki, or your steak teriyaki. Or if you have chosen chicken, tofu, or steak, you could throw everything into the stir fry. So with salmon, we have to serve them separately. But with the meat and tofu, you could throw them now into the pan of vegetables, and you could mix them all together. So it's really up to you if you want to serve your chicken separately and your steak separately, or if you want to serve it as a kind of one wok stir fry, you could call it. But either way, I'm going to reduce the heat on my protein because it's ready. I'm reducing it to 1 on my induction hob because I don't want to burn it. I am turning the heat back on my wok. I just want to bring my stir fry back to life. I'm adding the noodles into my wok, okay? So I've turned my wok back on a medium heat, and I've added the noodles to my wok, okay? So I'm just going to put that to the camera.
Added the noodles as well.
I added the noodles to the wok. Now, have you rinsed your noodles in boiling water?
Yes.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so bring your stir fry back to a medium heat and add your noodles.
Right.
And I'm stirring it all together. Okay?
Fiona?
Yeah.
Going back to the miso, how much paste per litre of water would you use?
2 tablespoons.
2 tablespoons. Okay.
But you know,
Thank
it's like the soy sauce. Add less to begin with.
Yeah.
If you add too much miso paste, it doesn't taste nice. So
No.
I'd even add, you know, a small tablespoon and then test it for taste. And if you think it's a bit weak, add more. But a few times I added too much, and it just the
You can't
flavor
bring it back. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't go back.
Yeah.
But
Thank
that's
you.
it really. And the other tip on miso is never boil it. So
Yeah.
you'll see a lot with Japanese cooking. When you add the soy sauce or the teriyaki or the miso, then you reduce the heat, because Japanese staple ingredients don't like hot heat. Okay, the flavors are very delicate. So I have my stir fry vegetables and noodles. Okay, so now guys, you can decide who's going to serve their chicken and teriyaki with the wok vegetables and noodles all as one dish, or who's going to serve them separately.
I'm serving it all together.
Good woman.
Yeah,
all
me too.
together.
All
together.
together.
I'm
Well
doing
done.
one walk as well.
So if you have the so for
Separately.
anyone, for the purpose of the cook along, I had to separate them because some of us were cooking with salmon, and I wanted to give you all that option. But if you were doing this again at home, you could first add the ginger, chili, and garlic, and then add your chicken and beef, and then add your vegetables. Okay, so that's how you would make it if you were doing this at home. You wouldn't have to use 2 pans. Okay.
We're going to add it all together as well.
Oh, brilliant, Sheila. It sounds like everyone's going for the one pot.
Yeah, one pot.
It's wild abandon.
Well,
Yeah.
do you know what? It'll actually be gorgeous because the noodles are just going to soak up that flavor. Now, for people who had the salmon, whoever has the salmon, what you can do is you can pour about half of the teriyaki onto your wok. Okay? so that the noodles are getting a bit of the teriyaki flavor. Okay, so I'm adding the sauce from the salmon.
This is just about ready.
Yeah, I'd say everyone's is nearly ready. So I've added, I know there was a few there that were doing salmon. So I've added the teriyaki sauce from my pan with the salmon. I still have my 2 fillets on the pan. I'm going to sit them on top of the noodles, okay, as a whole fillet. So I'm just going to go and get my serving dish. This looks very healthy indeed. So I hope you were all excited to get your boxes in the post.
Yeah, I think we were. There were very lots of excited answers on the phone.
I know whenever I get a package, I'm over the moon because there's not a lot else that's knocking on the door.
It's amazing. We weren't expecting such lovely big jars and portions. So it's great to have it there.
I hope you get lots of use out of them.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Now, so I'm putting my noodles on the bottom and I'm putting my salmon fillets on top and garnishing them with sesame seed. You could add spring onion there, you know, something to give it a lift. And what I would say is I obviously don't want people's dinner to go cold, but I do want to leave time as well if anyone wants to do a Q&A session. But before we open that up, I just want to say if you have any questions in the coming days or week, you know, please feel free. You know, you can filter them through me, no problem at all. And I can send a discount code across to you for Fused, just in case you want to stock up on anything. So you have a discount coupon.
Brilliant.
Okay.
That's brilliant.
That's great.
Yeah.
How's everyone feeling?
Very good. Very
Yeah,
good.
great.
We're hungry.
I don't want to stop you eating, so I'm leaving it up to you. If you want to open up the floor to Q&A, or if you want to say, leave me alone, I'm going to have my dinner.
I'm Hara Pekel. All right.
Very good, very good.
I sent them a link for the Japanese.
Well, we should all say itadakimasu in Japanese.
Ita. Say that again, Fiona.
Itadakimasu.
Itadakimasu.
Excellent. I'm actually teaching my kids how to say that at the dinner table during lockdown. And then when you finish eating, you say gochiso.
Gochiso, but we can't say that yet.
Yeah, not yet.
Well, I think I don't want to hold people back from eating their well-earned dinners tonight. But thank you so much, Fiona. And I suppose if anyone does have any questions, you can just drop them into me and I can pass them on to Fiona. And you know, if anything does come up in the coming days, or you know, you want to know a bit more about what Fiona is up to, pass it on to me, and I will I'll forward them on if anyone has any of those bits and pieces.